Lesson 119, complex fractions, and the appendix lesson, find equation of a line, parallel line. So first off, let's go through what is a complex fraction. Complex fraction is just a fraction containing one or more fractions in the numerator or the denominator. So if you can look at the picture here, here I have a fraction because here's the fraction bar. In the numerator, I have one fraction here. And the denominator, I have another fraction here. So that's what a complex fraction is. You have one or more fractions in the numerator, and you also have a fraction, at least one fraction in the denominator. So when we have complex fractions, we're going to solve this by eliminating the fraction in the denominator, which means we want to get the denominator equal to 1. So to do that, we multiply the fraction in the denominator by its reciprocal. And when you do that, it ends up being 1. So the reciprocal of 2/3 would be 3/2. And if I would multiply 2 times 3, that's 6. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1. And then your next step is whatever you do in the denominator, you must also do in the numerator. Since I multiplied by 3/2 in the denominator, I must also multiply by 3/2 in the numerator, and this would give me 3/10. And that would be my answer. You can also see we would have some improper or mixed numbers here over just a whole number. Just remember, this is a fraction here. It's 100 over 1. We just don't put the over 1 here. But to solve this one, you would need to put that over 1 and multiply by the reciprocal. Same thing here, whole number in the numerator, but you got a fraction in the denominator, so you still have a fraction inside a fraction. Now let's take a look at some of other examples. Example problem 1, 1/5 divided by 2/3. Now since we are dividing a fraction, remember, dividing a fraction means the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So I could actually rewrite this as 1/5 divided by 2/3. And dividing by a fraction, I could rewrite this as 1/5 times 3/2, because that's really what I'm doing. When I'm dividing by a fraction, I'm multiplying by the reciprocal, so this would be 3/10. I can show you again if I just multiply this side by the reciprocal, 3/2, do the same thing up here, you would still get your 3/10 over 1, which is just 3/10. So this is up to you which method you want to use. Just multiply by the reciprocal in the denominator, then do that in the numerator, or I like to just set it up like this, just multiply the numerator and the reciprocal of the denominator right away. Our second example here, before I can multiply or do the division, I need to simplify the numerator and the denominator. So when I'm adding the numerator, 1/2 plus 1/3, I need common denominators. The common denominator of 2 and 3 is 6. So I need to multiply 2 times 3 to get 6. And whatever I do in the denominator, I do in the numerator. So 3 times 1 is 3/6. So 1/2 is the same as 3/6. Plus, here I need to multiply this by 2 over 2. Now give me 2/6. Then I can add, and I get 5/6 in my numerator. In my denominator, I have 3 and 4 as my denominator. Common denominator is 12. I need to multiply 3 times 4 to get 12. That means 4 times 1 will give us 4. 4 times 3 gives me 12. So I need to multiply 3 times 1 to give me 3/12, which will give me an answer of 7/12. So now I have 5/6 divided by 7/12. To rewrite this, I would have 5/6, and when I divide by a fraction, I'm really multiplying by the reciprocal. And the reciprocal of 7/12 is 12 over 7. And then here, I like to simplify first. I can divide a 6 in the denominator, which will give me 1. 12 divided by 6 will give me 2. So whatever I divide out in the denominator, I must also divide out in the numerator as well. And then I can multiply across. 5 times 2 is 10. 1 times 7 is 7. My answer would be 10/7. Other examples, 2/5 divided by 2/3. So again, I'm going to start with my numerator, 2/5. Divided by a fraction means I'm multiplying by the reciprocal, which is 3/2. And I can simplify here. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And I'm left with 3/5. Next one, I have 30. I'm going to put that 30 over 1. And I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal of the base, which would be 6 over 5. And I know I can divide a 5 here. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 30 divided by 5 is 6. 6 times 6 equals 36. Next one, we need to simplify the numerator and denominator first. So common denominator of 2 and 3 is 6. Multiply 2 times 3 to get 6. 3 times 1 gives us 3. Multiply 2 times 3 to get 6. 2 times 1 gives us 2. So that leaves us with 1/6 in the numerator. The denominator, the common denominator of 4 and 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4, so 2 times 1 is 2. Plus, I already have 1/4. I already have 4 in the denominator, so I just write 1/4. 2/4 plus 1/4 is 3/4. And now I can divide. So 1/6 divided by or multiplied by the reciprocal, which is 4 over 3. And you could simplify or you can multiply straight across. This time I'm going to multiply straight across and then show you how to simplify from there. So 4 times 1 is 4. 6 times 3 is 18. And then I can divide by 2/2 in the numerator and denominator. That will give me 2/9. And that would be our answer for that complex fraction. Next, change the percent to a fraction and then simplify. So 28 4/7%. If I were to change this to a fraction, all percentages are over 100. So now I need to write this as an improper fraction. And I would put it as an improper fraction because it makes it a lot easier solving wise. So it's 7 times 28 is 196 plus 4 is 200. So this is 200 over 7. And just remember, the 100 is over 1 in the denominator. So if I'm dividing with fractions, I have 200 over 7 times the reciprocal of the base, which would be 100, or 1 over 100. And now I can simplify. These two zeros can simplify because I'm divided by 100. And I'm left with 2 times 1, which is 2. 7 times 1, which is 7. So my answer would be 2/7. This next one, put this all over 100. I'm going to put this 100 over 1. 14 times 7 is 98 plus 2 equals 100. So this is 100 over 7. And now I can do my division. So I start with the fraction in the numerator, 100 over 7, times the reciprocal of the base, which would be 1 over 100. The hundreds can divide out. I'm left with 1 times 1 is 1, 7 times 1 is 7. So our answer would be 1/7. Next, more percentages. So this again is 100 over 1. 3 times 8 is 24, plus 1 is 25, so we've got 25 thirds. To do the division, I start with my numerator, 25 thirds, multiplied by the reciprocal, which is 1 over 100. And I know 25 divided by 25 is 1, and 100 divided by 25 is 4. Multiply across, and you get 1 over 12. You could always check your answer by if you're doing 1 over 12, so 1 divided by 12, then multiply that by 100. You would get 8.3 repeating, which is 8 1/3%. Next, this is 100 over 1 in the denominator, just because of this percent, that percent symbol there. 6 times 4 is 24, plus 1 is 25, so 25/6. So to simplify, I write my numerator first, 25/6 times the reciprocal of the base, or the reciprocal of the denominator, which is 1 over 100. I can divide 25 here, get 100 divided by 25 is 4. So this would give us an answer of 1 over 24. And our last part of our lesson today is writing equations to a parallel line. All parallel lines have the same slope. So if you're given one equation, you use the slope of the equation and then plug in the point that they give you to find your b. So everything has to be in y equals mx plus b format. So we have to write an equation on the line that parallel to y equals 2x minus 5, and it passes through point 2, 1. So the slope has to be the same. So the slope is 2, so I'm going to put a 2 where the m is, because that's her slope. This is my x, and this is my y, so if I plug those in, I need to find my b to finish my equation. So now I have 4 plus b equals 1. To get b by itself, I subtract 4, and I have negative 3 equals b. So my equation in y equals mx plus b format, y equals the same slope, 2x, and then my b is a minus 3. And there's my equation that's parallel to 2x minus 5, and it passes through point 2, 1. Next one, write the equation on the line parallel to y equals negative 2/5 x plus 1 and passes through the point 10, 0. So again, I have to have my answer in y equals mx plus b format. My slope has to be the same, so I have to put a negative 2/5. My x coordinate is 10. My y coordinate is 0. And we need to solve for b. So 2/5 of 10, I can divide a 5 here and get 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. So that gives me a negative 4 plus b equals 0. To get b by itself, I add 4. And b equals 4. So my equation, y equals my same slope here, negative 2/5 x. And then I have a positive 4 for my y-intercept. So this would be our equation that's parallel to the line y equals negative 2/5 x plus 1. That is our lesson today on complex fractions and finding equation to a parallel line.